Right now, the United States is over $31.3 trillion in debt. Whew, that is a lot of digits. And the number is only going up. In less than 24 hours, the United States is set to hit the debt ceiling, which sits right at $31.4 trillion. This week, the Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen warns if we hit that ceiling, it could lead to extraordinary measures just to keep the U.S. going. Let's dig into what that means and how it could impact you. Here's Abby Larico to verify.
We turn to a number of sources to answer the big questions, like first, why do we even have a debt ceiling? The Committee for a Responsible Budget explains the debt ceiling, or debt limit, was established during World War I as a way to make borrowing money easier and more flexible, and Congress has raised that limit many times since then. What happens when the U.S. reaches its debt limit? The debt can't rise past the ceiling, no more borrowing, so the federal government can only spend money it has on hand to pay for its obligations. In her letter to Congress, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen also warns the Treasury, quote, will need to start taking certain extraordinary measures to prevent the United States from defaulting, which essentially means doing some creative accounting on repaying certain funds and programs. Yellen expects spending only what we have, and those extraordinary measures will keep the U.S. in the clear until at least early June. So what if we do default? Well, we can only speculate because, as the White House explains, the U.S. has never intentionally defaulted after not raising the debt ceiling, but warns of widespread economic fallout if it does. This Treasury Department report further explains, quote, credit markets could freeze, the value of the dollar could plummet, U.S. interest rates could skyrocket, the negative spillovers could reverberate around the world, and there might be a financial crisis and recession as a result of default. The report examines the last time we teetered on the edge of default back in 2011. Though Congress eventually did raise the debt ceiling, we came so close to the brink that the U.S. credit rating was downgraded. Job growth slowed, the stock market fell, and financial markets were overall stressed for months. And right now in 2023, there's real concern we'll head back to that precarious territory, with a vocal contingent of Republicans in the House of Representatives saying they will refuse to vote for a debt limit increase without certain spending cuts that could be really hard to agree on in this divided Congress. With your Verify, I'm Abby Larico.
But you can take some control of the situation. Experts say there are some things you can do right now to prepare just in case a recession ever happens.
The big issue for 23 is the fact that, we're probably going to wind up with an economic slowdown of some kind.
Professor of Financial Economics John Connaughton says right now, it's not clear whether there will be a full-blown or mild recession in 2023. But he says a rise in unemployment is not unusual during a recession. When demand slows down, companies tighten up.
What we're going to start to see is just a beginning of some layoffs. We've already seen the tech sector start layoffs, start job freezes, job hiring freezes, etc. But it really hasn't hit most of the mainstream economy yet.
There are ways to prepare, and it starts by having some money set aside.
The advice is always make sure you've got 3 to 6 months of savings so that you can ride out whatever takes place.
Business owner Trina Boyd says she's focused on cutting expenses and staying financially secure.
With everything that's going on, you want to make sure you pay off your debt.
John Connaughton says it's important for people to start planning and positioning themselves to handle any financial hurdles that could come.